Hello there. Welcome to Whispers.exe, where the silence watches back. The following story is a work of fiction, created for atmospheric and entertainment purposes. Before the shadows whisper your name, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, get comfortable, close your eyes, and let the dark settle in. It begins like most things do, quiet, unnoticed, and far too late to stop. The rest stop attendant. He waved me in like he'd been waiting. It was nearly 3 a.m., and I'd been driving for hours, long enough for the static on the radio to seem like conversation. The dotted lines on the asphalt had smeared into one endless blinking thread. I was somewhere near the Nevada border, though you could have told me Mars and I might have believed you. There was no reason to pull off. The last sign said the rest stop was closed, condemned even, but I was tired in the kind of way you can't measure. Bone tired, brain tired, the kind of tired that whispers things into the corners of your vision. So when I saw the flicker ahead, a soft, slow waving motion, a flashlight beam slicing through the night in rhythmic arcs, I slowed down. There he was, just beyond the turnoff. An old man in a pale blue uniform, not a vest, not reflective gear. A pressed powder blue thing like an old service attendant or gas station clerk from the 50s. He didn't say anything, just nodded and kept waving. I pulled in. The gravel crunched beneath my tires louder than it should have. The headlights revealed cracked pavement, half buried in weeds. No vending machines, no other cars, just a long, narrow structure with two dark doorways, bathrooms maybe, and a flickering security light above the entrance that definitely wasn't connected to any power grid. The man didn't follow me. He just turned and walked toward the building, slow and steady, until he disappeared into the dark space between the doors. I should have left, but there was something familiar about him, something parental, like when your grandfather motions for you to help carry groceries and you do it without question. So I parked and stepped out into the kind of night where even your breath doesn't want to make a sound. The desert was colder than it should have been. The moon hung low, smeared like it had been dragged behind the clouds. My boots echoed on the loose concrete. Every step felt like a question I couldn't take back. The door he'd gone into, there was no sign above it. No men's or women's. No graffiti, no dust on the handle. It was clean, too clean, like the wind had decided not to blow here. I pushed it open. The inside smelled of bleach and rust, the kind of smell that burns behind your eyes. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, but there were no visible fixtures, just cold light humming from nowhere. The corridor stretched longer than it should have, a single hallway with no doors, no stalls, just a tiled floor that kept going. My footsteps didn't echo, they just landed, like the sound got swallowed, and the man was waiting at the end. Closer now, I saw the details. His face was lined, but not sagging, like something carved into wax with a warm knife. His name tag was a blank rectangle. His cap bore no logo, but he smiled, and I heard the smile behind my ears. "Late drive?" he asked. I nodded. Did I say yes? I don't remember. The moment felt like it played twice, once in front of me and again a breath behind. "You'll want to stretch your legs before the next 100 miles. They get heavier if you don't." I laughed, I think. Nervous, reflexive. But he wasn't smiling anymore. "You've come a long way." His tone was final, not congratulatory. I looked behind me. The hallway was shorter now. "What is this place?" I asked. He looked down at his shoes, plain black, polished, and when he looked back up, his eyes were cloudy. "You stopped," he said. "Most don't." That's when the lights began to dim. Not a flicker, not a buzz, just a darkening, like someone was slowly lowering a sheet over the world. He reached out, not toward me, but toward the wall, and ran a finger along the tile. When he lifted his hand, a thin trail of water traced the motion. "Don't linger," he said. "They notice." "Who?" He didn't answer. I turned back toward the door, and it was open now. But I hadn't heard it creak. Outside, the world had changed. The rest stop looked the same, but there were no stars. The wind had stopped. And my car was no longer where I left it. It was turned slightly, like it had shuddered in its sleep. I walked briskly, too afraid to run, too unsure to stop, and climbed back into the driver's seat. When I closed the door, the dome light stayed on longer than it should have. I turned the key. The engine started, but the radio didn't. It was on. Dial glowing, volume up, but no sound. No static. Just an empty hum like someone breathing on the other end of a long hallway. I drove, and I didn't look in the rearview mirror. 10 miles later, I tried the radio again. Still nothing. I turned the dial, scanned the channels, even smacked the console like my dad used to. Silence. Only after I passed the faded next service 80-mile sign did something change. A voice, faint beneath the static, now returned. Not a DJ, not music, just a phrase, repeating, choppy and distant. You stopped. You stopped. You stopped. I turned it off. The next morning, I pulled into a diner outside Reno, old silver-plated thing with chipped booths and a jukebox that hadn't played in years. The waitress brought coffee and called me sweetheart. I asked her if there was a rest stop near the state line. She looked up from her pad. You mean the one off 80? Yeah. I watched her face still. That place has been shut for decades, since the fire. What fire? She shrugged, like she didn't want to remember. Something about the pipes, gas leak maybe, real bad. Folks said it wasn't the fire that killed them, though, said people were already off. They found one guy sitting up against the urinals, smiling. She walked off before I could ask more. Back on the road, I passed the exit again. Nothing there now, no building, just sand and cracked earth. But the radio buzzed again as I neared it, and I heard that voice, closer this time. You stopped. 2 days later, I noticed something strange. My reflection in the rearview mirror, it lagged. Just a second, but enough to feel wrong, like it hadn't been watching until I reminded it to. I started dreaming of the man, standing in places he didn't belong, at the foot of my bed, outside the diner window, in the gap between aisles at gas stations, always the same pale blue uniform, always the same blank name tag. I tried to talk about it, once. A woman I met in a hotel bar somewhere in Utah. She said she'd driven cross country a few times. I asked her, half drunk, if she'd ever stopped at a rest stop that wasn't there. She froze, and her hand drifted to her chest, like checking for a heartbeat. Then she leaned in and whispered, he waved me in too. We didn't talk again after that. Now, I don't use the radio anymore. I keep the windows up even in the heat. I don't stop between exits, and I don't look too closely at the side of the road. And when I drive at night, if I see a flicker in the distance, a slow, rhythmic waving of light, I don't slow down. I don't make eye contact. I just keep driving. Because there are some invitations you only get once, and some doors. When you open them, they stay open. It's been almost a year since I took that turn off. I know because the calendar app on my phone keeps reminding me to check the tires, renew registration, little things. But time doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't unfold, it pools. Days gather at my feet like water, and sometimes I swear I can feel them rising. I quit my job 2 months after it happened, told them I needed time off, but there was no plan to return. I couldn't sit under those fluorescent lights anymore, couldn't stomach the silence between words when people talked to me. That place had changed something. Worse, it had followed me. First, it was the radio. Even with the engine off, sometimes it would whine softly. That low hum again. I'd come back from the grocery store and hear it leaking from the car like a breath through a cracked mouth. I took it to a mechanic. He said the circuitry was fine. Then came the dreams. They never start the same way. Sometimes I'm back in the hallway. Sometimes it's my apartment. Once it was my childhood home, but something was wrong with the sky. It pulsed like a heartbeat, and the windows were black, like they'd forgotten how to reflect. But always, always, he finds his way in. The man in the pale blue uniform. And when he speaks, it's not with sound, it's a pressure behind my teeth, a thought I didn't choose to think. You shouldn't have stopped. I wake up gasping, not from fear, but from the effort of not screaming. I told my sister about it, left out the details, just said I saw something strange off the highway. I wanted to see if she'd heard stories, rumors. She's always had her ear to stranger frequencies, books about ley lines, haunted interstates, electromagnetic echoes. She went quiet when I mentioned the rest stop. Then she said, describe the uniform. I did, and she didn't blink for a long time. Then she told me a story. When she was 19, driving back from a music festival in Idaho, her friend Angela had insisted they stop for the night, but all the motels were full. They ended up pulling into a rest stop just over the Nevada border. It was supposed to be closed, but a man had waved them in. Pale blue shirt, cap, no logo. Angela had said, he seems nice. My sister didn't remember much after that, just cold light, the sound of water, and waking up hours later in the backseat of the car, dry mouthed and shivering. Angela was gone. They found her 3 days later, 200 miles away, wandering barefoot through a wheat field, speaking in loops. She never explained what happened. My sister didn't mention the story again. I think she regretted telling me. I started writing things down notes, maps, scattered memories, trying to reconstruct the exact exit, the exact mile marker. It kept changing. Sometimes I was sure it was mile 384, sometimes 392. The signs in my memories would rearrange, colors wrong, letters backwards. Even my GPS history didn't show the stop. One night, I brought home a new radio, battery powered, analog dial. Just wanted to test something. Turned it on around 2 a.m. and let it scan. Nothing but static. Then, around the lower 90s on the dial, something caught. A voice. Chopped and slowed like someone dragging vowels through a dream. Not words, exactly, just shapes of speech. Until one phrase coalesced. You stopped. I dropped the radio, pulled the batteries out, tossed the whole thing in the trash. But later, while brushing my teeth, I swore I could hear it again, coming from the sink. I don't sleep much now. I can't trust the quiet. Silence isn't empty anymore. It's watching. The other day, I was driving through the desert again. Not by choice. I had to attend a funeral. The route pulled me closer to the border. Not all the way, but close enough that my hands began to sweat on the wheel. That's when I saw a flash on the horizon. Not lightning, not another car, just one rhythmic beam swaying side to side. I looked away, but the road didn't curve the way it should have. Suddenly, I was approaching a turnoff that shouldn't be there. The gravel was clean, the air was still. I slammed the brakes, tires skidded, and when I looked again, there was nothing. Just sand, just heat, just the sound of blood in my ears. That night, I got a motel room. Old place, smelled like rust and carpet shampoo. I tried to call a friend, no signal. Tried to turn on the TV, black screen. Then the radio clicked on by itself. The dial spun once, stopped, and a voice came through. Different this time. Not the man, it was mine. Saying a phrase I had never said aloud. You stayed too long. I unplugged it. Something's changing. People I speak to, they hesitate more, like they hear something in my voice that doesn't belong. Store clerks smile too wide, then forget they rang me up. My neighbor knocked last week to ask if I'd been leaving my porch light on all night. Said she saw someone standing there, tall man, pale shirt, didn't move, just watched her window until sunrise. I hadn't been home that night. I don't think I ever really left that place. Not all of me. Part of me stayed in that hallway, suspended in the hum, staring into the space between tiles. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe it isn't a haunting. Maybe it's an exchange. You stop, you step inside, and something else steps out. The man never left that place, I think. Not really, he just wears whoever came before. And now, sometimes when I look in the mirror just before falling asleep, I see myself. But I'm wearing that uniform, that pale blue shirt, blank name tag, black shoes, perfectly shined, and I'm smiling. It's not every night, just some, and only in reflections, never in glass that distorts, only mirrors. Mirrors that remember shape, that hold it just a fraction too long after I walk away. I've started draping towels over them, even the small one in the medicine cabinet, but sometimes the towels fall, or they're folded neatly on the counter when I wake, dry, pressed, as if no one ever touched them. I live in motion now. Apartments never last long. I've changed addresses 6 times. Different towns, different names. I even cut my hair, shaved the beard. Still, he finds me. Always out of sight, but never out of reach. Last week in a laundromat in New Mexico, I saw someone else. A man, maybe 30. Pale face, hollow eyes, just sitting there staring at the whirring dryers. He wasn't doing laundry, no bag, no quarters, no movement. Just waiting. He looked up once when I passed, and I saw his name tag. It wasn't blank, it said mine, first and last. I didn't speak to him, didn't stay, but I still feel his eyes every time I close mine. I wonder now if I ever really left that hallway, if the man in the uniform ever let me go. Maybe I'm just playing out the shape of someone who's already been swallowed. But here's the thing, the rules don't make sense. Some people stop, they forget, they vanish. Others remember everything and live to whisper about it. A few, like me, seem to bring something with them, or leave something behind. One night, I tried to fight it, sat in front of the mirror with a flashlight, not letting myself blink, watching for any sign of him moving when I didn't. Minutes passed, then an hour. The hum started in my ears around 2 a.m. A soft electric itch, the sound of too much silence packed too tightly. Then my reflection blinked, and I didn't. I threw the mirror in the trash that night, but its surface still visits me in dreams, floating, waiting, whispering. You stopped. I met someone recently, Emily. Met her at a rest station cafe, not the kind off the freeway, but one of those clean, air conditioned plazas along the interstate with gas, snacks, and bathrooms that always smell like lemons and steel. We struck up a conversation about coffee lids. It felt normal. But as she talked, I noticed a scar near her collarbone, a thin, pink line, too clean for an accident. She caught me looking and smiled. Gas line, she said. Long story. And for a moment, I felt it. The pull, the thread between us. Like we were both pages torn from the same book. We exchanged numbers, started talking, then meeting, then traveling together. She doesn't talk much about her past, but she listens when I do, and sometimes I catch her staring into the distance like she's trying to remember something that doesn't want to be remembered. A month ago, I finally told her about the man, the stop, the mirror, all of it. She didn't laugh, didn't blink, just leaned forward and whispered, "How long did you stay inside?" She nodded, and then she said, 3 minutes. That's the threshold. Any longer, and it starts replacing pieces. I asked her how she knew. She looked out the window. There were two of me once. We don't speak of it often, but we sleep with the lights on now. Separate beds, same room, always with one of us watching. We've started looking for others. People like us, people who've seen the man. There are more than you'd think. Truckers with dead eyes and strange stories. Children who speak of empty restrooms and men with blank faces. Tourists who took wrong exits and never looked the same again. Each story slightly different, each one with the same heartbeat under it, the pull of the place, the hum, the wave. We found a map once, online, old trucker forum, buried deep. It marked dead zones, places where radios died, where cell signals dropped and GPS became nonsense. One was right on the edge of I-80 near the Nevada border, but it had no name, just a symbol, a small, pale rectangle. We drove out there, middle of the day, windows down, radio off, sun high and sharp like a blade. And as we passed the spot, everything went quiet. Birds, wind, engine, even breath. Emily reached for my hand. Neither of us spoke, just looked ahead. And there it was, a man in a pale blue uniform, standing alone in the desert, not waving, just watching, like he'd been waiting. But we didn't stop, didn't slow, didn't blink. And when we looked back, he was gone. That night, the radio in our motel room turned itself on, volume low. A voice came through. Not mine, not Emily's, someone else, crying, saying a name we didn't recognize, over and over until static swallowed it whole. We didn't sleep. We kept driving, chasing light, chasing something that might not even exist anymore. But here's the thing, no one tells you. It's not about stopping once. It's about all the little times after. Every time you stare too long into the dark between gas station lights, every time you pull over to check a noise, every time you look into a mirror and feel slightly misaligned, it keeps testing you, keeps knocking, waiting for the moment you open the door again. Sometimes I wonder, what if I never really got back in the car? What if the me that left that place isn't me at all? Sometimes Emily looks at me like she's wondering the same thing. And sometimes, just sometimes, I catch her smiling in her sleep. But the smile is too wide, too still, like it's waiting for me to notice. I don't ask her about it, not directly, but in quiet moments, I test the edges. Say something only the real Emily would know, a story from our first trip, a line from a movie she once said made her cry. Most of the time, she gets it right. Almost right. Just enough to silence the doubt. Just enough to make it worse. Last Thursday, I came back from the store and found her standing in the hallway mirror. Not looking at her reflection, just standing there, nose almost touching the glass. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. When I called her name, she didn't turn, didn't blink. I stepped behind her and touched her shoulder, gently. She flinched like I'd woken her from a deep, cold dream. I was just checking, she said. Later that night, she asked if I ever saw myself out of the corner of my eye, not in a reflection, in real space, moving just a little too late, a little too slow. I said yes. She didn't speak again for the rest of the drive. There are nights now when we both wake up gasping at the same time. Different dreams, same temperature, same humming in the walls, like something crawling just beneath the drywall, dragging wires behind it. I've started recording audio while we sleep. Left my phone on the nightstand with one of those sleep tracking apps. Most of the time, it's static and shifting covers. But twice, I caught something else. A voice. Low. Too low. Like a whisper through a throat full of water. Trade accepted. I didn't tell Emily. I don't know why. Maybe I'm scared she already knows. Maybe I'm scared she was the one who said it. I've stopped listening to music, stopped watching anything with mirrors in the shot. I cover the TV when it's off. The black screen feels like an open door, and I can't trust what might walk through. Sometimes I write notes to myself, little reminders, leave them in drawers, in pockets, on the inside of lampshades. Things like, "You are not him." Do not trust the third reflection. If you hear your name, do not answer. Once I found a note in my own handwriting that I don't remember writing. It was crumpled in the freezer. It just said, "You let him speak." There are gaps now, moments I don't remember walking from one room to the next. A stain appears and vanishes on the ceiling. Keys go missing, then reappear on the windowsill, wet with dew. I hear laughter sometimes, quiet, childlike, from behind walls that don't have enough space for anything to stand behind them. Emily's started drawing, sketches she won't let me see. I caught a glimpse of one once, upside down. It looked like a corridor made of mirrors. At the end was a figure, arms outstretched, mouth wide open, but instead of eyes, it had small round dials, radio knobs. She burned that one in the sink when she saw me looking. We don't talk about the man anymore, but he's closer now, always just at the edge of a frame or behind a closed door when we check again too soon. I heard a knock last night, 4 soft taps from the inside of the closet. When I opened it, everything was normal, but the coat I haven't worn in months had a fresh receipt in the pocket from a gas station off I-80, time-stamped 2 days ahead. Emily hasn't spoken all morning. She just sits by the window, watching the wind move nothing. I asked her what she was thinking. She said we should go back. I told her no. She didn't argue, just smiled. Too still. There's a rhythm to this thing. I can feel it now. A cycle. It begins with silence, then a flicker, then the wave, then the door opens. Not always a real door. Sometimes it's a reflection. Sometimes it's a song you forgot you knew. Sometimes it's a thought that feels like it was spoken by someone else inside your mouth. But it always leads back there, to that place just past the turnoff, the one that shouldn't exist. I've tried warning others, strangers, forum posts, old friends I still have numbers for. Most ignore me. A few laugh. One man responded to my post with, "Too late, already waved back." His profile hasn't been active since. I think about what the man said to me that first night. "You've come a long way." As if it wasn't about the miles. As if it was about the unraveling. The farther you run, the more pieces fall off. The more room there is for something else to settle in. Sometimes I wonder if I've been the man all along. If I'm just another uniform waiting to be filled, maybe there is no man, just the role, just the station, a fixed point waiting for new gravity. Emily sleeps longer now. Her breathing is even, but her eyes move behind the lids like they're watching something instead of dreaming. I keep watch, not because I think I can stop what's coming, but because I want to be awake when it arrives. Maybe then I'll understand. Maybe then I'll see what he sees, what they all see. And if the flashlight waves again, if the light cuts across the windshield and I feel that old pull, maybe this time I'll wave back. The morning drags glass across the sky, brittle and light-starved, as if the sun itself is only pretending. I sit at the edge of the motel bed, laces in my hands like thin black veins, wondering if shoes even matter where we're going. Emily stands across from me, suitcase open but empty. She's been packing for 20 minutes, folding nothing, tucking nothing away, just tracing the lining with her fingertips over and over like she's reading a map hidden in the fabric. "You sure?" I ask, voice husked from a night with no rest. She nods. "But The nod feels borrowed, like a gesture worn too big for her shoulders. I'm not sure which of us suggested driving back first. It might have been the silence between our breaths. It might have been the hum in the walls spelling routes we can't ignore. Either way, the car is already outside, engine cooling from a short trip to nowhere, ready to heat again. Emily finally drops one shirt into the case. My shirt, the gray one with the coffee stain. She doesn't notice, just closes the lid, snaps it shut, and looks at me with eyes like unlit tunnels. Let's leave before the day figures out we're running, she says. The highway yawns open. Miles scroll, signs blur. The desert flattens into a single silent thought. We keep the radio dead, but every so often the speakers sigh as though air slips in from somewhere other than the vents. Twice we pass old billboards collapsed onto their own shadows. They advertise nothing now, but the peeled paint looks like uniform blue. And on an overpass pillar, someone has scrawled a name I almost recognize. Mine, missing its vowels. We stop only once, at a diner shaped like a horseshoe left in the rain. The neon says open, but hums off beat, the O flickering faster than the other letters like it's impatient. Inside, coffee tastes of aluminum and thundercloud. The waitress doesn't ask for an order. She brings two cups, pours, walks away without showing her face. Emily stirs hers for a full minute, spoon never clinking, as though liquid and metal refuse to touch in front of strangers. She whispers, "They remember us here," even though the place looks empty. When we leave, I hear a radio jingle following us through the door, just 3 notes, then hush. Back on asphalt, the air grows thin. The horizon sweats mirage after mirage, but none of the wavering shapes are water. Some look like distant figures waving. Some look like cars flipped on their roofs. One looks like a mirror bigger than the sky. The mile markers lose count. First 320, then 404, then a blank sign, number scraped clean. Emily traces each digit on the dashboard as it passes, as if feeding memory into the machine. Somewhere after the signless post, the world seems to hold its breath. Engines should roar on stretches like this, but ours settles into a heartbeat, slow and damp. I feel each pulse under my seat more than I hear it. Emily's eyes close. Not sleep. Something heavier. I want to shake her, but the steering wheel vibrates, a warning or a hand. Ahead, the shoulder widens into gravel darker than the road, like an invitation burned into ground. No sign declaring rest stop. No building in sight, yet the shape of a turnoff waits, unmistakable. And standing there, bathing in our headlights, is the man. No flashlight tonight. His arms hang still, but the air around him bends, coaxing us nearer. I press the brake. We stop at the mouth of the gravel, engine murmuring agreement. Emily opens her door without a word. I call her name. She steps onto the dirt, barefoot. When did she lose her shoes? And walks as if gravity has been rewoven just for her. I follow, though my legs feel threaded with sand. Each footfall lands 2 sounds, one real, one echo that doesn't match. The man watches us approach. Closer, I see that the uniform is looser than before, sleeves trailing past wrists like someone stretched him too tall. His face is hidden by the brim of a cap that wasn't there in my memory. Emily stops 3 feet away. Wind would hiss here, normally. But nothing moves. Even our breath sounds paused between frames. She lifts her hand, palm outward, a wave that never waves. The man mirrors, a perfect reflection except his arm is longer, joints bending an extra angle that skin pretends to smooth. Something inside me twists, ascending my spine like cold smoke. I reach for Emily, but the space between us ripples. My fingers blur, and for a moment I see 2 sets of my own hand, overlapping then sliding past each other like misprinted film. When vision steadies, Emily isn't there. Neither is the man. I'm alone on gravel under a sky that forgot stars. The rest stop is suddenly visible, 10 yards away. Concrete bunker, 2 doorways yawning, the same flickerless light bleeding from cracks. I hear water dripping inside, even from here. The car purrs behind me, headlights still cutting the dark, but the driver's seat is empty. I know what waits beyond those doorways, but I also know Emily walked into that silence, and whatever stepped out might not know my name. I move forward. Each step feels like stepping through my own memories. School lockers, hospital corridors, office elevators, all tiled, all humming. They lead me into the left doorway. The hallway inside is narrower now, walls brushing my shoulders, damp and warm like they're breathing. No lights overhead, yet everything glows faintly blue, as though the air itself was stitched from uniform fabric. I call out. My voice arrives late, a second behind my mouth, thin and metallic, repeating until it wears itself out against unseen walls. A figure waits at the end. Not the man, not Emily, me, but older. Hollow-cheeked, wearing the pale shirt every button wrong. His eyes are mine, yet they don't blink in sync. He raises a hand. I lift mine, unable not to. The gesture triggers a door beside him, unseen until it yawns. Beyond it, a room sized like a closet but filled with mirrors on every surface, ceiling, floor, even the back of the door. I understand. Trade accepted. I also understand this isn't the end. It's merely the hinge. I could walk in and leave something behind. Maybe grief, maybe fear, maybe my name. But I might not come back. I look at the reflection me. He smiles, a small fracture in glass. Behind him, in one of the mirrors, I see Emily, pale, watching, her eyes moving not independently but in perfect tandem with the room's dim pulse. She mouths one word: choose. My heartbeat syncs with the hallway hum. I step closer until my breath fogs the cold mirror door. Inside the reflection, older me steps back, granting space, inviting. Emily's eyes plead, or threaten, or both. I put my hand on the threshold. The air beyond bites like dry ice. Behind me, the hallway contracts, floor tiles folding up, walls squeezing like a closing fist. There isn't time for thought, only for motion. I step through, and the world flips, like a vinyl reversing side without the needle lifting. Sound returns first. Water dripping steady and fast somewhere above. Then the smell, bleach, rust, desert rain waiting behind concrete. My eyes adjust to a room that isn't mirrors. It's a service office, small and square, with an old metal desk and a radio console built into the wall. Dials missing. Speakers cracked. Yet faint light leaks from them, pulsing. Emily stands at the desk. She's wearing the uniform top now, sleeves rolled. In her hand, she holds the blank name tag like a coin. I didn't think you'd follow, she says, voice layered. Two notes, close yet dissonant. Where are we? I ask, though the answer is stitched into every drop of air. The station beneath the station, the heart chamber. Emily places the tag on her chest. It clings with no pin. Letters bleed onto it, forming my name, then glitching into hers, then blank. She looks at me, tears balancing on her lower lashes but never falling. One of us stays, she whispers. One of us leads them away. I shake my head. The room tilts, walls stretch. The radio sputters, crackling voices that sound like distant laughter and distant screams, identical. I realize the doorway behind me is gone. No mirror, no hall, just smooth, humming wall. Emily reaches out, her palm is warm. The moment our skin touches, I see flashes of her memories. Standing where I stood a year ago, flashlight guiding her inward, losing her friend to the humming dark. I see how long she's been circling this fate, how many backroads nights she waited for someone else who knew the rhythm. She thought I could replace her. She hoped I'd refuse. Choice flickers like a dying bulb. I remember my sister's story. Angela smiling in silence. I remember the void in my own reflection. I pull Emily closer, arms around her shoulders. Her sob catches fire, burns to a whisper. We both leave, I say. The walls disagree, humming louder, cracking paint, dust spiraling like gnats. The radio dial spins itself, landing on a frequency that repeats two words. Not allowed. Note allowed, not allowed. I tighten my grip. Emily laughs through tears, a sound stitched with terror and relief. We turn to the radio, both of us hands on the largest dial, twisting against resistance that feels like cartilage. The console sparks. Blue light floods the room, blinding. My ears fill with pressurized static, as though the desert storm finally broke open inside this place. I think I scream Emily's name, or she screams mine, but sound is shredded. Then the floor gives way, and we fall through water that isn't wet, through mirrors that aren't glass, through corridors that are only memories imitating space. I open my eyes to daylight. No windshields, no walls, just sun staring unblinking. I'm lying on hot asphalt beside the car, engine off, doors closed, keys in my fist. Emily lies next to me, shivering despite the heat. We sit up together. The highway is empty. The rest stop, if it was ever here, is nothing but desert scrub. In the distance, a jackrabbit darts, kicking dust into light that pretends innocence. We stand, lean on the car. Emily reaches into her pocket. She pulls out the name tag, blank. She drops it on the road. The plastic sizzles, warps, melts into a puddle that hisses once, then dries to nothing. We get in the car. Seatbelts click, a sound too normal, too merciful. Neither of us touches the radio. We drive east, chasing a sun that feels new, though I don't trust the novelty. Miles pass. Silence holds, and from the corner of my eye in the passenger window, I see our reflections. Perfect, synchronous. Until for a breath-long instant, mine lags half a second behind hers. My hands tighten on the wheel, knuckles paling like chalk scraped thin. Emily doesn't notice. Her gaze stays fixed ahead, as if the horizon is the only proof we're still in the same world. I clear my throat. Nothing comes out. The sound is swallowed before it reaches air. Emily turns slow, searching my face for a question she isn't sure she wants answered. I try to smile reassurance. The muscles misfire, twitching twice before settling into something almost human. She looks away. Miles collect. Sun sinks. Heat bleeds from steel, leaving the desert shivering in violet dusk. We cross a county line. A battered green sign reads, "Welcome back," but the letters have peeled, the phrase fragmented, "We Om-Ak." I don't remember passing through this county in daylight, yet the odometer doesn't lie. The first gas station in hours appears. Two pumps, both stained the same off blue as the sky before a storm. Emily asks if we should stop. Her voice is weaker than fuel fumes, the question already resigned. We glide beneath the canopy. Lights flicker overhead, too bright for evening, pushing harsh shadows under our eyes like bruises from sleepless months. I step out. The pavement feels soft, like bread dough under my boots. No attendant, no other cars. But the windowless kiosk hums, a single fluorescent drone, familiar in its ache. I lift the nozzle. It's warm, as though someone finished pumping seconds ago. My reflection on the chrome handle distorts. My mouth stretched, eyes pinched, like the metal remembers a face older than mine. I drag my gaze to the glass door of the kiosk. At first, I see only my own silhouette framed by neon open. Then the silhouette moves, subtly out of sync. The glass ripples, my shape fracturing into two overlapping outlines before snapping back to one. I drop the nozzle, it clangs, echoing like a bell toll in an underwater church. Emily calls my name from inside the car, voice cracked by static that isn't there. I force a thumb up just a second, then edge toward the kiosk, lungs shrinking with each step. The door unlatches beneath my fingertips, though I never pulled. A chime sounds, four descending notes, same melody the motel radio muttered nights ago. Inside, the air is frigid, perfumed with bleach and dust. No clerk. Shelves half stocked. Canned coffee, antique maps, disposable cameras whose packaging shows highways I've never driven. Against the far wall, a vending machine stands gutted, glass missing. In the cavity, a radio console, old, military green, dials scabbed with rust. Its speaker crackles a soft heartbeat rhythm. I should go. Every cell insists, but curiosity is a hook turned inward. On the counter lies a guest book. Pages yellow, corners curled. I flip to the latest entry. Date blank. Name Angela. Message. I lost the map, but I know the way. My breath fogs the page, letters warping beneath condensation. Ink beads, then spreads, the lines dissolving into bruised smudges that bleed through three sheets. A second signature flowers underneath, scrawled as the first vanishes. Name, Emily. Message, trade pending. My pulse roars between temples. I back away, almost stumble. From somewhere deep inside the walls, a voice exhales a single syllable, half sigh, half laugh, then falls silent as if embarrassed to be heard. I slam the guest book shut. The radio on the wall brightens, dial lighting teal, pointer sliding without touch until it rests on a frequency that feels like a number I once forgot. A swell of white noise blooms, then parts for a single hollow sentence. Pumps closed. Attendant on break. The words cycle, pitch bending with each loop until letters melt into nonsense. It shouldn't matter. We have enough fuel. But Emily, my feet are already moving. Door chime again. The evening outside tastes metallic. Emily stands by the pump now, hair catching dying sunlight in copper threads. She isn't fueling. She's staring into the side mirror, head tilted like a dog hearing voices in the flooring. In the mirror, I see us both. My image arrives a blink late. Half a breath, half a lifetime. Hers arrives early, smiling before her mouth moves. I swallow her name as I reach. She jumps. Her reflection doesn't. I snap the cap on the tank, usher her into the passenger seat. Her fingers are icy, but her eyes burn like desert brush. Back on the highway, I don't accelerate. I glide, tires whispering conspiracy with the asphalt. Night takes the sky in one gulp. Stars shiver into view. Too many, too vivid, like we're beneath a counterfeit dome painted rushed and cheap. Emily breaks the hush. I signed my name once, she says. Her voice is two, layered imperfectly. In a book like that, I thought it meant I'd finally leave. She turns to the window. Her reflection merges with the dark outside. But nothing leaves. Not really. It only echoes further away. I grip the wheel until tendons whine. You're here, I say, forcing each word through damp cloth. We left. She laughs. Thin. Did we? A mile marker flashes. No service area. Yet an arrow points right. A phantom exit momentarily lit, then gone. I don't mention it. The hum returns, faint at first, nested in tire noise. Soon it's a chord under the world, vibrating the rear view until my eyes ache. Emily's head droops. Her lids flutter, pupils dancing behind skin as if tracking unseen constellations. I blink hard. For an instant, her seat is empty. Then she's there again, but reversed. Left and right swapped like a flipped negative, I gasp. The image snaps correct, and she stirs, groggy. You heard it? She murmurs. I nod, though I don't know what she means. We're close then, she says. Close to nowhere. Wind lashes the car, sudden as a thrown sheet. The steering jerks. I wrestle it straight. Headlights sweep a sign I almost miss. Rest area 1 mile closed. My heart dives. The odometer clicks, 3 digits all the same. The trip meter zeros, though I never touched it. Emily sits up, alert, eyes glassy. Do you want to keep running? She asks, yet her hand cups the door handle. No, I breathe. Not running, not stopping, just passing. But the hum thickens, syrup in the lungs. The road veers, an exit we both know is coming. Gravel rumbles beneath us before choice registers. We coast into blackness. No buildings, no attendant, only an expanse of cracked concrete reflecting our high beams back like dull mirrors. At the center stands a payphone, untouched by time, receiver dangling, metal cord swaying though no breeze exists. I shut the engine. Light dies. We sit inside a throat of night. Emily opens her door. I follow, soles crunching glassy sand. The payphone rings, 2 short chimes, then silence. No echo. Emily approaches it. I want to hold her back, but my arms weigh lead. She lifts the receiver, listens. Eyes widen, pupils dilating until color vanishes. She offers the handset to me. I refuse. She insists. Cold plastic meets my ear. No dial tone, only breathing, wet, labored, familiar, my own. It speaks, voice frayed. One of you is ahead, one behind. Trade complete when footsteps align. I drop the phone. It swings, striking pole with a clang that vibrates ribs. Emily is gone. I spin, nothing but car, road, dust. Her footsteps lead beyond the lot, prints deep, directionless, like she wandered in circles until lifted away. I call, throat tearing. Echo answers twice, second time delayed. From the dark, 2 lights bloom, flashlight beams crossing, waving, first left to right, then right to left. I step backward. Gravel sucks my heels. The lights swing again, syncopated, lullaby tempo. A silhouette forms, not man, not woman, limbs too long, joints misplaced, head haloed by twin beams. It lifts an arm, palm open. I shudder, but something inside lifts my own arm in reply, a mirror gesture, a handshake with what inhabits absence. The beams snuff out, darkness folds. The car door opens behind me, no hand visible. Interior light glows soft, almost welcoming. Inside, on the driver's seat, lies the guest book, open to a blank line, pen clipped to leather. I reach, then stop. The name tag melted earlier rests on the floor mat, whole again, letters shimmering, blank. Choice is a myth, the script is older than will. Yet I kneel, lift the book, ink smells sharp, chemical. I write. Not my name, not Emily's, just one word, no. The pen cracks, splits like dry wood. Ink splatters, hissing on leather. Wind explodes through the lot, sandstorm screams without sand. The phone rings wildly, metal on metal shrieking. I grab the wheel, turn key, engine roars alive, more beast than machine. Headlights catch a figure by the payphone, Emily, hair whipping, eyes aflame. She bangs receiver against metal, severing cord. The hum falters, staggers, collapses into a hiss of feedback that claws the sky. Emily runs, dives into passenger seat. Door slams, glass rattles but holds. Drive, she says. I floor it. Tires spit gravel, car fishtails finds grip. Rearview mirrors, nothing but ink. No beams, no attendant. Only the roar of fleeing. Mile after mile the hum recedes, draped behind hills. Dawn leaks gray into black, gentle as apology. Emily exhales a sob mingled with laughter. I heard you, she whispers. On the phone, you said no. She presses something into my palm, the name tag now etched with a single phrase in tiny perfect type. Keep moving. I clip it to the sun visor. Let it swing on invisible air currents, talisman and warning. Ahead the road straightens, horizon blooming pink. The radio stays off. But from deep inside the dash, barely audible, a new sound whispers. Footsteps. 2 sets. Perfectly in step. I tighten my grip. We keep moving. Behind us, the sun rises on a rest stop that never was, already erasing itself beneath the weight of our refusal, but not forgetting, never forgetting, waiting for the next wave, the next pause, the next traveler tired enough to slow, waiting for the footsteps to misalign once more. Emily dozes beside me now, finally surrendered to sleep that looks too light, too watchful. Her hand twitches with each mile marker. I watch the tremor and match my breathing to its rhythm, careful not to fall out of step. Night has emptied, dawn not yet declared allegiance, and the highway feels like a question nobody dares phrase aloud. The name tag swings on the visor, faint clicks counting seconds we might not own. We cross into a valley of basalt ridges. Cell towers sprout like skeletal trees, red lights winking, but no signal reaches the dashboard. Just beyond the last ridge, a town wakes. 2 motels, 1 diner, a single blinking traffic light. Civilization enough to pretend the world never tilted. I park behind the diner. Engines cool, ticking like watches thawing from ice. The moment the keys stop vibrating, the footsteps in the dash fade, replaced by a hush so profound the morning birds refuse to test it. Emily stirs, eyes wide before consciousness catches up. She studies the storefront, then me. Food? I offer. She nods, pulling her coat tighter though the air is warm. Inside, a bell jingles. The waitress, same kind eyes as the woman from Reno months ago, leads us to a booth. Coffee appears without asking. The cup shakes faintly in Emily's grasp, but doesn't spill. I glance at the mirror behind the counter. 2 reflections hold, ours solid and synchronized. My muscles unknot a fraction. The waitress sets down plates, whispers on the house, long road ahead, and leaves before we can thank her. On the table, beneath my fork, I notice a folded receipt. It bears no totals, only 3 typed words. Keep moving. Still. Emily sees it too. Her breath catches. Maybe it's warning, she says. Maybe it's permission, I murmur. We eat anyway, because hunger is heavier than fear, and because chewing drowns the memory of radios in the walls. Outside, sunrise finally spills gold across asphalt. Trucks pass, commuters yawn, ordinary noise layers over the silence until the world sounds almost real. We climb back into the car. I start the engine. Nothing hums beneath the dash. The name tag rests motionless, letters inert. A mile out of town, the radio flickers alive. No static, just a local weather report. Clouds today, chance of thunder shower. A normal voice, bored, human. I let it play, volume low. Emily leans her head against the window, eyes half closed but present. Do you think it can end? She asks, not expecting answer. We reach a junction where the interstate splits, 1 arrow east, 1 south. Both roads stretch bright and bare, and neither points toward the desert we escaped. I slow to a roll between the signs. What feels wrongest? I ask. Emily studies the horizon, wind threading her hair. East, she says after a beat. East feels slightly out of tune. I turn south. Tires thrum approval. The farther we drive, the more the radio fills with trivial chatter, farm reports, high school sports scores, a love song from 20 years ago. No echoes, no doubled voices. Hours pass. Towns drift by, each leaving a mundane souvenir. Fuel receipt, coffee ring, a laughing stranger's wave. Day folds into evening without incident. At dusk, we stop beside a lake, water glassy and blue-black. No other cars. Crickets trill. For the first time in months, I hear nothing underneath the night. Emily walks the shore, skipping a stone that hops 5 times before surrendering. I stay by the car, watching ripples erase themselves. She returns, cheeks flushed, and slides her palm into mine. Skin warm, solid. I can't hear them, she whispers, not even when I listen hard. I hold my breath, waiting for a counter rhythm, a phantom echo. Nothing answers. The silence is honestly empty. Stars bloom overhead, ordinary constellations indifferent to travelers. We make a small camp by the bumper, share leftovers that talk about places we might want to see that aren't crossroads for shadows. Redwood forests, coastal highways, snowy towns that close at 8. When fatigue settles, we recline our seats, doors open to cool air and cricket song. We promise to keep watch in shifts, but sleep claims us together, gentle and dreamless. Morning arrives bright, unremarkable. Footsteps inside the dash are still gone. I start the engine. A local pop station crackles cheerfully. We both laugh at how sweet the jingle sounds. On the visor, the name tag hangs steady, words blank again, nothing to command, nothing to warn. I unclip it, toss it into the glove box, and shut the lid. Emily nods, eyes shining with something like hope. Let's see where south really goes. I merge onto the highway. The road unspools ahead, simple and sunlit, and for the first time the dotted lines feel like guidance instead of trapdoors. Behind us, The desert waits with its silent stations and hungry mirrors, but distance is no longer invitation. It's memory, locked behind a final exit we will never slow for again. The engine hums a single, steady note. Our footsteps align with the song on the radio. Nothing more, nothing less, and the map at last feels ours to write.